how's it going, everyone? We have this Honda EU2000I that the owner, let's just put it this way, it's about a week or two before Christmas 2024, and according to this, he hasn't ran this since 11/25/22. Oddly enough, I think that was the year that we had a snowstorm, so it might have been used as a snowstorm, which, if it was, I think it's actually 2021, because I don't know. Anyway, owner wants me to look at it because we are expected to have a nasty little winter, and he wants it to be up and ready. He's elderly. Oh, I shouldn't say elderly. He's vintage, and doesn't want to be without power. So I think first thing we're going to do is I'm going to check it if there's fuel. Now, he does understand non-ethanol. He's actually very adamant about that. There's fuel in there. Kind of worrisome. It's pretty much full too. So I think that is on. Let's choke. So let's get it started and see what happens if it even starts. Nope. Okay. Well, to be expected. Let's get this on the table. So, forgive me. I tried a little bit longer and I'm out of breath. So, if you hear any creeper breathing, I blame the cameras. Anyway, taking that off, I'm sure you're wondering what exactly is behind it. That's a plate compactor, and that thing's super heavy, and I hurt my back like 2 or 3 days ago. My little help isn't off work yet. So, we are kind of stuck doing that for now. That's okay. We have enough room for the Honda. So let me explain my This does have a fuel drain. Now these, because the tank isn't all the way above the carb, it won't flow directly into the carb because of gravity. So they have a fuel pump, which is why I kind of kept on doing that for a little bit, because the fuel pump will take time and it requires the pulling of the handle to get started. Well, I didn't eventually get it started, so my hope is that perhaps I could just drain the fuel that's in there, but considering it didn't even begin to start, I don't really think there's a whole lot of fuel in there to begin with. Could be wrong. Could be plugged. But the part that really got me was I've worked on quite a few of these carbs. Not a single one of them didn't have to have the idle circuit cleaned out. Excuse me. Oh, come on. There's a bleeder hose behind here. It goes to the crank, and it is firmly married. Right there. So, it didn't want to come off. It's the worst day. Now, I mean, everything's super clean in here. You know what? Let's try that. Why not, you know? Maybe there was no fuel in there. Huh. This is the worst screwdriver for this. That's not usually a good sign when even that is wanting to come off. Okay, well, guess we will continue. It's like this cover for the fuel line that making this a tad on the difficult end. Let's move it over. Now this might leak a little bit of fuel, but it's probably not going to be that much. It's because we're not with gravity. You're kind of in my way, so we're going to see if the screwdriver is going to do it for us. There we go. I'm just going to put that off to the side. Off to the side. There we go. This does have a whole lot of these hoses everywhere and whatnot, so we do want to take those out. It also has an electrical connection up here we want to be very careful with. In fact, before we do that, we're going to get our tools ready. I need to get a 10 millimeter. And let's just... Wait, is this not a 10? Oh, no, it is. Okay. Not tightening, that would help. Now, you should be doing this off the machine, but I want to have a little bit of support. And I want to have a small-ish container to kind of catch some of the fuel. I'm just going to use a little cup. And because we're kind of questioning the fuel quality, we're going to clean it up as much as possible. And potentially maybe not yet. Put those back on the studs. The reason why I'm doing this is I mainly just not want to disconnect the electrical connection. It's not that hard, it should come right out, but I've had one or two occasions where the wire, when you're pulling it out, even though the clip says it's done, still somehow the wire removes itself from its connector. Actually, it doesn't look that bad. So ever since then, if I can avoid taking the connection off, I will. Oh, looks almost pristine, so that's good. I'm thinking we probably have a minuscule jet cleaning we have to do, if that. Probably could take it off right here. emulsion tube stage in there, but that's fine. There's the jet. I had a little bit of a plug in there, so good thing that we're doing this. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to take a piece of wire from a wire brush and just do that. Much better. So here's the thing. If you need glasses, go get them, because you need to see inside if that jet is clear. Not only do you have to look for light, you have to make sure it is clear. It is drilled. It should be a perfect circle, more or less. And if it's not, it means you didn't clear it out enough. If the bowl is nasty, I would take the emulsion tube out, but it really wasn't. And this was such a small pluggage, I don't think the emulsion tube is going to have a problem. No. Yeah. We're going to put the jet back in. If you start to feel as if it's going to cross thread, don't continue. Last thing you want to do is cross thread that. I mean, I guess there's lots of last things you want to do in life, but that's not necessarily on top of my list, but definitely on top of the list of fixing this. Okay, dokay. Next, we have behind this wire, which will just gently move out of the place. This is that wire I was telling you has a connector. We want to do this. This does idle, by the way. So you want to count. Have 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, about 4 3/4. So what we're going to do, I'll show you, is that plastic screw is what I was just turning in and counting. So we're going to want to go back to about 4 3/4. Because like I said, this does idle. It has an eco mode. So on other machines that never idle, they will still have this, but it's, I don't want to say it's useless. It's just not as important as it is on this machine. Let's just say that. Before we continue, I'm going to put the bowl on because I don't want anything to get in the bowl area, and right now it's starting to get me a little concerned. So let's see. That goes like this because we want the screw for the drain facing the front of the machine. Okay. They don't really make this easy when you don't take the carb off now, do they? Honda. How dare you? Okay. Next, where I showed you the screw, right underneath it's a black little piece we need to remove and clean out. So if you pull it out with your screwdriver and it comes out, that's perfect. If not, then you just take a pair of pliers and you just kind of do what I just did and kind of lever your way through there. Now inside here is another hole, so we're going to take a wire from a wire brush, do the exact same thing. So what will end up happening if you don't do this is when it goes to idle, it will die, and even when it's not idling, it might surge a little bit. There we go. Very, very small. Now we put this back in. There we go. Now, I am going to find, there it is, the screw for the idle, and shove that in there. Understandably, I know I shouldn't be doing it this way, I should take it out, but I'm telling you, if you ever break or pull one of those wires out accidentally, you'll never want to do that again. So if I don't have to take it off, I don't. It's not even expensive either, it's just kind of annoying, because to replace that is not the most entertaining thing in the world to do. Okay, so we have half, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, and 3/4. Okay. Now, that simply goes back on this little area and stand. We shove our tubes back in their respective slots. We take our fuel line and shove that bad boy back on there. Take our fuel line clip, which is actually a real clip instead of one of those stupid Honda wire ones. I despise those that they use on lawnmowers. Oh, looks like the one that came off this machine is this one. It's the same one though, it's just from a different Honda carb. And we shove the gasket back on that fell off. And now we are almost ready. I'm going to put the cover back on. You're almost out of battery. Change your battery and then we'll be back. Everything's put back together. Everything should be good. Engine's on, choke is on. I'm going to give it a couple pulls. If it doesn't really pop off that easily, I might try to spray a little something down and kind of let the engine use the vacuum of it to kind of move the fuel. Basically the fuel pump just goes off the vacuum, a little pulse of the engine, and with that pulse it's able to move the fuel. It's actually down here, I believe. So the fuel goes down, goes up through everything, and comes to the carb. So pulling on it is your preferred method, but let's see. That was the eco mode I was turning on and off. Right now it's on. It uses very little fuel. that's it. So we're going to take that blue sticker off because it's no longer going to be that, and it is good to go. Let us just check the quality of the oil before I just check the quantity. Stop. And oh wow, yeah, it's exactly as I thought. It was basically brand new. The owner of this machine actually has two of them, and I think the other one did the majority of the work. He also has a cable that connects it to, and you actually have a 4,000 watt, except unfortunately I don't think you will have 210. I think you'll have 4,000 watts of 110 only, or excuse me, it doesn't have 220 or 240, only have 110. So that kind of sucks. But I mean, if you need 4,000 watts at 240 volts, you would just buy a bigger unit. You're not going to be spending, I think these are at 1,200, 1,300 now, times 2. So what is that? 2,600 bucks plus the cable. I can imagine Honda is not exactly cheap on that one either. So let's say another 50, 100 bucks. You're looking at potentially $2,700. That can get you a decent inverter machine that's going to have a lot more wattage and 240 potential. But other than that, this is a great machine. So if you're having a problem with your Honda EU2000i and all you need to do is just get it started, and it hasn't been sitting very long, the fuel is good, go right ahead and just do what we did here today. I would recommend you don't disconnect the wire, but if you do, and you want to do it the legit way, just be very, very, very careful. I just know that one of those wires, it's always the same one, it's on the edge, it just loves to come out, and trying to put that thing back together, the holes are so small and the wire just frays. It's a giant pain. You just have to end up replacing it. It's a project. So I'm going to leave you at that. Follow me on Instagram at SmallEngine101. If you like what you see, keep watching. Definitely subscribe. And I'll catch you on the next one. If this helped you out, put a thumbs up, and I'll see you later. You have a good night.